Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. This one is mainly going to be going over the Kickstarter preview or draft that Magpie Games put live for anyone who subscribed to the email. But we do have one other piece of information, and that is this. Diamond Select had a panel at Comic-Con at Home, and right at the start of their panel, just as a video on YouTube, they did present some information on some new Avatar stuff that we hadn't seen before, that being Wave 5 of their Avatar action figures. So the first figure in Wave 5 of the two is going to be Blue Spirit Zuko, as you can see here. So really cool Blue Spirit mask here. You get the swords finally on Zuko. The original Zuko was meant to have swords but didn't for some reason. You get them here. I do wonder, can you take the kind of whole sword thing off and put it on the Book 3 Zuko? Probably not, but we'll see. Other than that, it seems pretty fine. I think a lot of people, including myself, would have been much more happy if they went for a Mei, a Ty Lee, a Suki, just a new character rather than a sort of, redo a different version of a different character. But Blue Spirit Zuko, I guess, is fine, even if it's, in the grand scheme of things, I think a little plain in that it's just Zuko in sort of a ninja outfit. But anyway. The big one though is obviously, if we move this along just a second, the second figure is going to be Iroh. Now it's obviously kind of Book 2 Iroh in his Earth Kingdom outfit, but it looks really detailed, and this is the thing with a lot of some of these characters, is that they don't really seem like designs particularly suited to be an action figure, in that you wonder how some of the articulation on this figure is going to work, just because the elbows, which have typically been terrible on these Diamond Select figures, how are they going to do like articulation on this with how covered up it is, given that that clothing is likely going to be relatively tough rubbery plastic that won't work too well with articulation. But the detail is likely to be very good, even if you don't use the movement that it has on it that much. Here's a flame that's going to look pretty nice, some holding hands, the teacup, the teapot, and then very interestingly, the Breath of Fire pose here, Dragon of the West completely here. That's going to look pretty nice in plastic. Of course, these are just sort of concept art stuff, but it gives you a sense for what they are planning at the very least. I've got to say, personally, I'm not particularly interested in the Diamond Select action figures anymore. They just don't really do anything for me. I like, obviously, looking at them, covering them as news, and maybe certain characters might stand out to me in later waves, but I'm no longer really inclined to go for each wave. And I haven't got Wave 3, I'm not getting Wave 4, and I don't think I'll be picking up Wave 5. I think I'm just more interested in a lot of the other lines of action figures. But with Diamond Select, I am still interested in the gallery dioramas. So the Zuko is the next one that's coming, and hopefully at some point coming up soon they'll announce probably a Toph to complete the elemental sort of set here. But that's really all the news that there was on that front. Covered all within the first 40 seconds effectively of the panel. Nothing else, I think, really features Avatar. They got the good stuff out of the way right at the start. But anyway, let's move on to this. So they put a project draft or a preview for the Kickstarter live, which basically has most of the information ahead of time. So we're like a week away, give or take, from the launch of this Kickstarter on August 3rd. And now we have a sense for, this is their goal, this is what their tiers are going to look like. And the only real thing, I suppose, at this point to be decided is just, when this goes live, how much will they make, how many backers will they have, and how many stretch goals will be met. So let's cover this. I read through it in quite a bit of detail before, so just so I could know for this video what stuff to focus on, what stuff not to focus on. Because if you read the quick start guide, you already know a lot of the basics for just what this game is, why you should be interested in this as an Avatar fan, why you should be interested in this as a fan of role-playing games. You probably already know that. So they do cover the pledge tiers down the side. They cover it in nicer art down at the bottom. So that's just a general idea of, like, this is what it is. The heroes, I do like these descriptions. They're kind of cool. You know, if some of these were actual characters, that would actually be a really interesting story within Avatar. Like an airbender from the Eastern Temple who is searching for her long lost brother. Given airbender like culture and how it works, like going after an actual member of your family is actually a really interesting concept. So fun ideas. The eras of play is obviously one of the things that draws you in to this a lot, that they're going to be covering Kyoshi's era, Roku's era, the 100-Year War era, Aang's era, and Korra's era, with obviously like the mentions of like Shadow of Kyoshi, you know, Imbalance, Ruins of the Empire, like recent content being really, really interesting. This line of paragraph here, right at the end of the eras section, is probably the most interesting one in the entire Kickstarter, and is probably the line that will sell the book to a lot of people who maybe aren't particularly interested in the game. So let's read this. The Avatar Legends, the RPG core book, includes a setting chapter with 50 plus pages of information about the eras, including important characters and plot hooks for each, in addition to never before released canon material on Avatar Roku's era. The setting chapter provides enough material for anyone to pick up and play the game, even if you don't know the original stories by heart. So this is what I was saying after the quick start guide, was that I hope it's not just a quick 2, 3, 4 page thing going over the eras, get going. For like especially GMs, people who want to GM, you really need to know your avatar to sort of act as a GM in this game. So are they giving you any content in the book to act as a foundation for place names, important characters for each era, just knowing what's going on in that era, outside of, wait a second, let me read all the comics, watch all the series before I go into this campaign here. So that's what these pages, which looks to be about a quarter of the book, hope to accomplish. Who are the key important players and, you know, tone ideas that are going on in each era? Really, really cool. And then the big thing, never before released canon material in Avatar Roku's era. And that makes sense, that of all of the eras covered here, that era is the one that is the kind of most sort of unclear ultimately, because we've had a decent amount of time sort of in the 100-Year War era. Like, we get the sense of what's going on here. It's just the idea that the Avatar is not around, the Fire Nation's in the ascendancy. But what actually is Roku's era about? Because you're not fully talking about Roku dealing with Sozin at the end of that era. So what was Roku doing for most of his time as the Avatar when Sozin wasn't a threat? Sure, you have Sozin for, I suppose, a part of that era, starting the colonies in the Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation colonies in the Earth Kingdom. But what's going on in the rest of the world? We actually have very little foundation for that in terms of who are the key players and so on. And this is what I guess this section of the book is going to have to accomplish with Roku's era, which I'm very interested to see, like, what when they say important characters, like, who exactly do they mean? Sure, Roku, Sozin, I guess Gyatso on the Air Nation side of things, Roku's earthbending teacher Sud, but are we going to get introduced to, like, who one of the previous Earth Kings was, or something like that? Previous Water Tribe chiefs, is that what they're talking about here? That's going to be very interesting to see. I wonder, will they preview any of that new information, even just like a page or a glimpse of it? Because, like I said, just knowing that is enough to probably make a lot of people really into Avatar want to get this book, who probably maybe will never play the game, knowing that there's going to be just 50 pages of content that is going to effectively, I suppose, act as a small Avatar sort of encyclopedia type thing, to just give you information needed to play a role play in the universe. Kind of cool. So yeah, again, more stuff about the Avatar verse gets a name drop here. So I don't know if that's official terminology or just that's the way to refer to it, but you know, it's mentioned here. Fights, rules and mechanics. Again, I've gone over this before in a live stream, some of the mechanics about the balance track. I do like this section here where it goes over just, here is an example of how a encounter would play out and rolling the dice. We're going to see, I suppose, a lot of that in the book. I think at some point they directly mention that the book is going to have like a lot of examples and really heavily teach you how to play. So that's cool. The conditions, bending and fighting. They cover a little bit more on the skills and training stuff here. That, you know, all the characters have access to a core set of basic moves like strike and retaliate. Your training allows you to use special techniques like earth sync, lightning redirection, or chi blocking. In order to learn new techniques, you have to find yourself a master. They can expand your skills and training, and so on. So that's kind of cool. Again, the information in the books about just how many techniques there actually are is going to be kind of interesting, just to get a sense for, if I want to become, say, a master firebender in this game, am I really just sort of looking to, at the end, learn lightning redirection and lightning generation? Or do you have more sort of complicated fire moves? Like, if I want to go down more of a Zhang road, can I learn how to make a big wall of fire and heavily control it like he does? Or what are we talking about? Here are the different classes, which are basically just character archetypes. They don't seem to be particularly focused on anything like specifically about Avatar. That is more where your training comes in, but they're going to be adding more of these kind of character archetypes as basically the stretch goals in the game. Legends is actually something that we didn't hear about, I think, at all in the Quick Start Guide, so this is new. The player characters in Avatar Legends RPG are represented by the playbooks, but the heroes might also run into a few old friends on their adventures. In Avatar Legends RPG, characters like Aang, Iroh, and Kuvira are called legends, powerful individuals who can act as beloved mentors or worthy opposition, depending on the situation. The world of Avatar is complicated, and sometimes it is your greatest enemy who teaches you the lessons you need to learn when your friends provide the most difficult and challenging opposition. So, the core book is going to contain 5 legends. We're going to have Kyoshi, Roku, Aang, Korra, and Iroh in the 100-Year War era. So I suppose this is him as a general, sort of at his fighting peak, I guess, is what they're getting at there. And these, I guess, are going to be specific sort of character sheets for those NPC characters for if you want to use the avatar in your journey, which even if you don't want them to be the main focus, you might want to meet them at some point to teach you something or something like that. Here's how you go about using them. Or what if you wanted to do like a villainous playthrough where you want to like potentially do something like, we want to be the ones to take out Avatar Kyoshi. Here's how you actually go about like using Kyoshi in battle, like, and I guess we're going to see some crazy stuff about how they implement the avatar state potentially, how many fatigue marks are there on an avatar, what moves are the avatars going to have, how difficult are they going to be to defeat, that sort of thing. Going to be pretty cool. And obviously Iroh is the character you want to go to if you want to learn some lightning redirection or generation. So you know, here's a character to use in your stories if you want to get there probably as soon as possible. So that's kind of cool. Glad they featured that, because some of this stuff in the Quick Start Guide made it seem like they maybe were wanting to stay away from a lot of the really established stuff. But it's cool that they're aware that, no, we kind of need to have this because people are going to want to interact with the big characters. So cool that they have that there. Now, rewards. This is the big stuff here. So there's the core book. And this Kickstarter seems to just be mainly about the core book. The future upcoming like Republic City focus book expansion and then the Spirit World expansion. I'm guessing there'll be separate Kickstarters down the road, or they'll say something about it when it finally launches. But it seems like everything here is just about the main core book. So 8.5 by 11 inch hardcover book, full color art, all the rules of the game, 5 different eras, examples for quick and easy play, and 8 playbook archetypes. Cool. But there's also a special cover core book, holographic laminate on them, with obviously Aang and Korra covers, which you get to choose which avatar you want to be on the front cover. This is a kind of weird option to offer you, but actually kind of cool in that it's like, oh yeah, I suppose most people are probably going to go Aang front, Korra back, just in terms of ATLA came first, and so on. But you might want to do the other way around as well, depending on what you're going to do. Like if you want to display it open, the two side by side, the back, having Aang on the back sort of puts Aang on the right side of the image, depending on what way you're kind of thinking about it. But Cool option, and those images are going to look fantastic if they have the holographic stuff in the right positions. So that looks fantastic, and at least for me as a collector, instantly, yeah, I'm going for an option that includes a special cover book on the book, so that's going to be interesting. There's going to be digital rewards, so there's a full digital option as a pledge. The dice pack we unlocked because there's 2,500 sort of people following the page. There's going to be a deluxe dice pack here, as you can see, which is the same as above here, the same types of dice. You get 12, 2 water, 2 earth, and so on for each of the trainings in the game. And they're ionized obsidian dice by Level Up Dice. Each die has an intricate elemental design that flawlessly flows around each side of the dice. Comes in obviously a bit of a collector's box here with the Avatar Legends logo. That's a nice collector's piece, and obviously, as we'll see, seemingly the most expensive part of the Kickstarter so far. But anyway, here are the pledge levels, and I'm assuming these won't change going into the final release. They're letting you know ahead of time this is what it's going to be. The only thing that's going to change is basically anytime it mentions stretch goals, they visually are only going to show the one stretch goal that we have so far, but this is going to be successful. It's going to hit most of these goals. So when it says stretch goals, there's going to be way more than what it's actually showing right now. So $20 tier is digital everything. You get the digital core book plus all digital stretch goals. So any extra playbooks, legend characters that they unlock will also be available to you as well. All digital for 20. 50 gets you the core book and what was up here as well. So you get the core book both physically and in PDF, plus all the digital stretch goals. 75 gets you the core book and all stretch goals, digital and physical. So right now, the physical stretch goals are the dice pack, but there's also the map, the cloth map that we're probably likely to get as a pre-launch goal as well. I think we're a little bit off getting towards that, but I'm guessing in the next few days we will get over the 3,500. So at the very least, you're getting some dice, a cloth map, and likely a dice bag as well, as we'll get to. So that's that. The $100 tier, Polar Bear Dog tier, is going to get you the core book, but the special cover version where you do get to choose which is the front cover, which is the back cover, and physical and digital stretch goals. $200 tier gets you basically everything in this tier, but you also get the deluxe dice. And this is the thing that makes it clear. The deluxe dice set costs $100. So that's going to be a big decision for people as collectors of, do you care about these really nice looking Avatar dice or do you not care? That's going to be a huge extra cost if you want it or not. But it probably is going to be one of the most kind of in a way exclusive pieces of Avatar merchandise there maybe has ever been, depending on how many they make and so on. So big decision for collectors to make here on go for the $100 one or the $200 one. Here's a retailer only tier, but anyway, add-ons. So this is basically the idea that say you want to get it, but you also want to get a couple of sets of dice, so you can, if you have multiple waterbenders on your team, you have waterbender dice. 25 out for a dice pack on its own. Another core book cost 50. Another special core book cost 80, etc. and so on. Stretch goals. So dice pack we already got. We already covered that. It's at any 75 plus tier. The cloth map at 3,500 followers, which they're not at yet, but it's likely to get there probably. Will be interesting to see if they don't quite get there, because unless there's a big jump right before, I almost get the impression it might be like just below this going into August 3rd. We'll see how they do. Like, will it be like a launch day, like unlock that they just give us, or will they add it in as like the $400,000 tier? We'll see. Either way, it's something I know a lot of people are going to want. I want it. And again, $75 tier plus, so the 75, the 100, or the $200 tier is going to get you the cloth map as well as the dice pack and so on. The next tier, which is going to be the first money stretch goal thing, is 100,000, which is double the initial sort of meet their target goal, is a dice bag, which is going to feature the 4 element symbols on it. I do wonder what color it is, but we'll see how they go with that. I'm wondering, might they offer like different colors as like stretch goals or something? That could be interesting. But yeah, 4 symbols, dice bag, pretty nice. Core playbook, so the adamant playbook, that's a character archetype, they're going to unlock at 200,000, and then Tenzin as an NPC legend for 300,000. And again, as they go up in that, I think I'm expecting this to probably get to like maybe 1.52 million. Maybe that's my guess right now. So we're likely to probably see a good 10 to 15, if not more, stretch goals as this goes on. And most of them probably will be these playbooks, so different character archetypes, and new NPC legends. You'll notice that they mentioned Kuvira before, so Kuvira is probably going to be like the 500,000 tier or whatever, and I'm guessing we'll get like other characters as well as we go on, so that could be pretty fun. The likes of, say, Boomy, I guess, would be a good character to introduce, because like the idea here is that a lot of the legends are going to be your absolute key master characters, where if you want to learn the special skills, these are the characters to go through. Otherwise, you sort of have to make up master benders yourself, and I think people would rather prefer to learn lightning from Iroh, airbending from airbending from Tenzin, rather than making up your own characters. So that's going to be cool, just to see how far they go with that, what characters they do actually kind of pick and choose, and so on, what characters they do kind of decide to really bring into the spotlight. In that, I'm guessing Kyoshi fans are going to be like, please give us Rangi as a NPC legend, and they might do that, definitely. Here's some kind of reviews of the Quickstarter. Here's the team who actually made the game, so that's kind of cool. They give them, I guess, their favorite element, what bender they'd be, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, pretty nice. Shipping seems friendly for most regions. Obviously, there's regions, of course, not mentioned here, but for most of the main sort of, I suppose, English-speaking regions, which all this stuff is going to be in English, they seem to have it covered here. US friendly shipping, EU friendly shipping, Canada friendly shipping, Australia friendly shipping, and we will cover the cost of customs and VAT for those regions, and our reshippers will ensure that you receive the book from a local address within the region. So there we go. They don't. So basic international shipping will not include tracking numbers, but they're quite fast at delivery. Okay, so there you go. Retail shipping for this campaign is free. You will not be charged for shipping if you pledge at a retail tier. That doesn't really apply to just standard thing. So that's good to know. I'm wondering with the UK, are they including the UK in EU still, or are UK going to have to deal with customs? We'll see how that goes. But I'm Irish, so we're still in Europe, so that's good. And then risks and challenges. They're basically saying they've done all these Kickstarters before. This is their 13th Kickstarter. They know what they're doing. Delays seems to be the main problem that they have. Now, I'm guessing that because this is the biggest franchise that they've worked with here, and because they've set themselves like a pretty short timeline for a lot of this stuff, for like January for digital stuff and then February for all the physical stuff, by the time this goes live and ends, we're talking about like 6 months to fulfill this, which doesn't seem that long at all. So I don't know. I'm guessing they made sure to launch this at a time where they have a good amount of it done, and based on the quick start, they do have most of it done. A lot of this will just be making sure that physical stuff all gets made on time and so on. But it looks good so far. Like, this is one of those things where like it seems big enough. It's the first thing that's being given the Avatar Legends title, which is going to be used on other stuff. I'm imagining they have some support in the background from Nickelodeon, and they won't let this thing go off track like some of their maybe other Kickstarters have. I'm guessing they're all hands on deck to make sure that this thing goes as smoothly as possible with no real delays, just because it's Avatar and it's going to be one of their bigger Kickstarters. So it looks well organized so far. We'll see how it goes once we get closer to sort of end of the year into January, February, and maybe we're wondering like, why aren't we hearing anything about this? But I feel that it's going to work quite well. So that's the just general first look at the Quickstarter. Seems very, very good so far. I think I'm probably going to be going for this tier, the $100 tier, just because I want the physical book, and I definitely want to get the fancy special, holographic cover with the choice of which avatar I want on the front. And I want the stretch goal stuff. So I want the dice. I'd love to get the map. I'm assuming that will get confirmed, and the dice bag and whatever else they add on. I don't know what that will be, but this seems like the best value in the sense of like the general thing seems to be that like it's roughly like 40-50 for the book. Just that's the cost of the book. So a special version of the book plus some extras seems like it's decent value. Once the shipping, I suppose, isn't too crazy. But the thing that really pushes this over the edge for me is that they confirm up here that they are going to have new content. 50 pages of information about the eras. Exactly what I'm going to be looking for. That's effectively 50 pages of Avatar lore. What is Avatar? What are these eras? That's going to be exciting. Including important characters, plot hooks for each. Never before released canon material on Avatar Roku's era. I do hope they say something about this in the Kickstarter when it goes fully live, or there's just information that comes out about this in terms of explaining when you say this, like, where did you get this information from? Did one of the writers at Nick, did Mike and Brian give it to you? Did you get access to like scripts or behind the scenes information that you took this information from? Like, what's going on here? Or do you have like early access to maybe something that like is going to come out that maybe is focused on Roku's era that you've been able to incorporate into this game, which is not going to come out until March next year, maybe? That's the thing, because if you look at the team making this game, you'll notice the lack of really a sort of writer, I suppose, as a position. Like project manager, lead designer, license liaison. So, this is the person who worked, I guess, with Nick Viacom. Designer, art director, designer, layout designer. You've got a lot of sort of designers, staff support. You don't really see sort of writer, or that they're including someone who is like works at Nick. So the question you'd have is where they get this information from. Who do they work with to make it happen? From Avatar Studios or what? I'd like an explanation on that. That'd be the only thing, because they're specifying it's canon content and they're noting you've never seen it before. Now it makes sense because that's probably the era we know the least about, but it's worth mentioning that definitely. So I suppose that's pretty much all there is to say. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on the Diamond Select stuff I covered at the start, the new figures for Wave 5. In addition to, what are your thoughts on the Kickstarter, what we've seen of it so far? What tier are you going to be going for if you are planning to get the game? And what are your thoughts on a lot of the extra rewards and physical items that are going to be a part of this? But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.